All right, the preamble is over. A game is going to break out. Cordero Patterson is back to receive for the Raiders. Great run back guy, but he won't have the opportunity here. Hopkins with the touchback, and let's meet the Raiders.
Derek Carr, Fresno State.
Marshawn Lynch, New Oakland.
Michael Crabtree, Texas Tech. Amari Cooper, Alabama.
Jared Cook, South Carolina.
Lee Smith, Marshall.
Donald Penn, Utah State.
Coleccio Assembly, Iowa State.
Rodney Hudson, Florida State.
Gabe Jackson, Mississippi State.
Marshall Newhouse, TCU.
That is a big-time offensive line. Everybody considers Dallas to be #1 in the interior, and the Raiders are right there, upper echelon. They start from the 25. Marshawn Lynch is the running back. And Beast Mode, who took a year off last year, then came back with Oakland this year, picks up about 3. Derek Carr had a great season last year. Then he broke his leg in the next to last game on a sack against Indianapolis, and they were bounced out of the playoffs in the wild card game. Recuperated fully, off to a terrific start this year. 5 touchdowns, no picks, and last week in 10 possessions against the Jets at home, they scored 6 touchdowns. 2nd and 7. Bunch 3 receivers to the right. The fake on play action now. Lynch stays in to block. Carr airs it out deep downfield, and it's picked off. It's intercepted. It's Monte Nicholson. And Nicholson with the big turnover, a guy who was on the injury list, weren't even sure he was going to be active tonight, and comes up with the big pick. First interception this season against Carr.
How about the rookie, Monte Nicholson, way back here in the back, and everything looked like it was going to go off to the right, but Carr comes all the way back, and Nicholson hustles over to make the play, and now the question is going to be, was he contacted there as he made the interception or not, nullifying the run back? Tough to tell from that look. I would say yes, he was contacted by Amari Cooper and likely to be moved back.
Right, no need to challenge. It's a turnover. All turnovers automatically reviewed, so they'll look at it in New York. Tony Correnti will get the answer here in a second, and they'll either have it at the 42-yard line of the Raiders, or
play will go under review.
Looks to us as if it's going to come back about 25 yards or so. So 56 seconds into the game. You know, the Raiders, you think about them through the decades. They always love to go long early, normally on the first play. Here it's on the second play. Again, is there contact there? There appears to be.
Yeah, I think they were trying to take advantage of some of the early game excitement and go with one of those throwback plays. Everything looked like it was going to the other side of the field. Carr looked that way, came back across, but the rookie was not fooled.
2 coaches, Jack Del Rio, and now in his 3rd year with Oakland, Jay Gruden, brother of John, came here 4 seasons ago, has led them to back-to-back winning seasons, and that's something that hasn't been done in Washington since the early 90s when Mark Rippon was the quarterback. And there was a Super Bowl involved in one of those seasons.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's contact that's going to be brought back, but really that was a ball that Derek Carr should have never thrown. Those were 2 deep safeties, and he tried to hit the deep throw on the back outside. He hasn't made very many mistakes at all this year, but that was almost an early pre-snap read that he should have made on that one.
So Correnti right now, I think they've already made the decision that he's down by contact. Now they need to know exactly where it is and put a few seconds back on the clock.
There have been a few interesting calls today, hasn't there? It's like, what a day of football today was.
But none in the first 56 seconds, a lot of them at the end of the game.
I think Tony Correnti was hoping it was going to be a nice, dull night.
After review, the intercepting player was down by contact at the 33-yard line. It'll be the Redskins' ball at that clock. Will the game clock operator reset the game clock to 14-10. 14-10. Thank you.
Negating a 25-yard run back, and let's take a look at the Redskin offense.
Kirk Cousins, Michigan State.
Samaje Perine, University of Oklahoma.
Terrell Pryor, Ohio State.
Jamison Crowder, Duke.
Josh Doctson, TCU.
Vernon Davis, Maryland.
Trent Williams, Oklahoma.
Sean Laval, Arizona State.
Spencer Long, Nebraska.
Brandon Sheriff, Iowa. Morgan Moses, Wahoo Wah.
Williams and Sheriff, Pro Bowlers. All right, back to the 33 they go. That's Dotson, their #1 pick last year, who goes in motion, sets on the right side. They begin on the ground, and this is the rookie P. Ryan out of Oklahoma, stopped by Khalil Mack. So Kirk Cousins playing under the franchise tag for the second consecutive year. 2 TDs and 1 pick in his first couple of games. So you take a look at Derek Carr on the other side, who has a $125 million contract, $25 million a year. Cousins, they haven't paid him yet for the long term, but he's still going to make over $23 million this year. So there are no charity balls. 2nd down and 8 from the 34-yard line. And through the middle goes P. Ryan up to the 37-yard line. Let's take a look at the Oakland D.
Khalil Mack, Buffalo.
Justin Ellis, Louisiana Tech.
Eddie Vanderdos, Placer High School.
Mario Edwards Jr., Florida State.
Bruce Irvin, Almost Heaven, West Virginia U.
Markel Lee, Wake Forest.
Corey James, Colorado State.
David Emerson, North Carolina State.
Carl Joseph, West Virginia.
Reggie Nelson, Florida.
TJ Carey, Ohio University.
Chris Thompson now in the backfield. The #1 running back, Rob Kelly, hurt his ribs early in the game last week in L.A., inactive tonight. 3rd and 6. And Cousins fires, and that's caught on the run, and that's Vernon Davis, the longtime former 49er, who gets bounced out of bounds at around the 37-yard line. 3rd and 6, and they pick up the first down on a pass for 26 yards.
First thing you got to do is get this guy stopped on the outside. Khalil Mack coming off the edge, nicely done there by Morgan Moses. And then you get the speed down the field of Vernon Davis. No Jordan Reed in this game. He is inactive. But we can remember many a playoff game in which Vernon Davis and his vertical speed has really made a difference.
Played his college ball nearby at Maryland, 12th year in the league. P. Ryan comes back into the game now, flanking Cousins. Give it to him on an inside give. And a guy who, in his first year at Oklahoma, set the all-time NCAA record running for 427 yards in one game against Kansas. Stopped after a gain of 1. Some key injuries now for Gruden's team. Kelly out, their #1 back. Reed, #1 tight end. Foster had a big interception last week to seal the win at LA. Hurt his shoulder, actually separated it, put it back in, and then intercepted Goff at the end of the game. So missing some key parts. 2nd down and 9 from the 36-yard line. Blitz coming. Cousins gets rid of it quickly to the outside, and that's Crowder. Tight-roping the sideline, gets by Amerson and moves the sticks.
Well, we saw Oakland last week blitz a lot in that game in Oakland, and so far they are coming once again, and I think that Kirk Cousins has been ready for it. He's getting the ball out of his hands quickly. We're seeing these offensive linemen with a little extra protection, a little help from the tight ends as well.
First down of the 26 on the Redskins' initial drive. P. Ryan takes the inside handoff. Moves the ball down to the 23. Justin Ellis, #78, makes the tackle after a gain of 3. 2nd and 7 for Washington.
You're going to see a lot of power on the part of the Raiders tonight, but little power right here on the part of the Washington Redskins. Just man blocking right up front, get up to the 2nd level. And it's going to be a challenge. The one thing the Jets did have a little success with is running right at the Raiders. So it's going to be tough to throw against this secondary. Great pass rushers, but with a big back like P. Ryan, you might be able to attack them right up the gut.
5'11" and 233 for the Oklahoma rookie. Once again, he looks for space, finds none, and a trio of Raiders are there, led by Corey James, the 2nd-year outside linebacker out of Colorado State. 3rd down.
Yeah, Corey James is the mainstay inside. He'll play all 3 downs for the most part. And then they have some young linebackers in there. Nicholas Morrow really made an impression on this entire staff, #50. And then on early downs, Markel Lee. So rookies all over this defense in key positions. We'll talk more about their defensive line and some of those young guys up there later.
Lee in the middle, #55, a 5th-round choice. Chris Thompson is the back on 3rd and 5. Blitz again. Cousins gets it away. Wide wide open is Thompson. And Thompson will get to the end zone for a Redskin touchdown. So Thompson comes into the backfield on third down. They flare him out. They take care of the blitz, and the Redskins cash in on the turnover.
Just a complete screw up out here by the Raiders. Instead of one of these guys blitzing and the other going out in coverage, they both blitzed and left nobody in man coverage on the outside. Just a complete screw up on the part of the Raiders.
Yeah, they all turned back and looked at each other at the end of the play. Thompson with a touchdown last week on a 61-yard run in LA. 5:17 into the game. Dustin Hopkins for the 33-yard extra point. So it began with the pick, and then down the field they go. 7-0. Dustin Hopkins to kick off. And we go to touchback.
Pretty amazing how quickly Derek Carr gets rid of the football. Last season, 10th fastest, 2.38 seconds. So far this year, 1.91. You can barely catch it and throw it that fast. And it's interesting, on the very first play of the game, the interception, more of a catch, hold, roll out, throwback. Got themselves in trouble. My guess is they get back to Marshawn Lynch and the quick throws now, which is who they are.
They started with Lynch on the first play, and then came the interception, and they give it to Lynch, the longtime Seahawk, gain of 3. So Lynch was with the Seahawks, of course, beast mode, so many unbelievable runs harder than anybody you can remember. And what happened was he decided, okay, I'm going to leave football for 1 year. Came back only because it was Oakland, it was his hometown, and when the Raiders announced they're going to Las Vegas, he felt it was important to come back and play for them. Would he have played for somebody else? Probably not.
You know, and I think he's been a real inspiration for this organization.
2nd and 7, and Carr will get enveloped and sacked at the 22-yard line. It's a good start for the Redskins. Jonathan Allen, the rookie #1 pick out of Alabama, is there. The Raiders last year allowed the fewest sacks in the league.
And how do you win against the Raiders? You make Derek Carr hold the football. He's not used to doing it. They're playing off coverage, but sitting down very quickly on some of those shorter routes. Just enough time for the pass rush to get there.
Makes it 3rd and 13. Crowd really into it. They came up by 7. They get a sack. You got a 3rd and 13. Carr stepping up in the pocket. Going to get sacked again back at the 19-yard line. Preston Smith, number 94. So a team that allowed the fewest sacks in the league, about 1 per game last year, has allowed 2 in back-to-back plays.
How impressive was that by Preston Smith? Not only Marshawn Lynch coming out and chipping, he's going to win against Donald Penn, who gave up all of 1 sack a season ago, and get Derek Carr on the ground. What a defensive stand that was by the Redskins.
Smith has a sack in each of the 3 games. Marquette King, a tremendous punter. He's averaging 54 yards per boot. Jamison Crowder is back. This is a low line drive that takes a nice bounce for King. That'll help the stat sheet, and bounds out of bounds at the 25-yard line. So he comes in averaging 54 yards per kick, bangs that one deep downfield. 56. So the Raiders, for an 11-year period with a drought, 17 starting quarterbacks, most in the NFL, and included Rich Gannon at the beginning. But now Derek Carr with 50-plus starts. The Redskins, meanwhile, 20 starting quarterbacks, 5th most over a 20-year period. But Cousins has settled that down. 35th consecutive start, longest since Mark Rippon back in 90 through 93, and they won a Super Bowl in that time period. So both teams solid at that spot, at least for the moment, in Washington. Again, Cousins on that franchise tag for the 2nd year in a row. Carr signed for the next 5. On 1st down now, this is a 5-yard gain for Pirine. Been the workhorse already tonight, 6 carries. Jay Gruden So Sean McVay was the offensive coordinator. Did such a good job here that he got the Rams head coaching job at the age of 31. So Jay is now back to calling the plays.
Yeah, but he doesn't have quite the weapons they had a season ago. Deshaun Jackson, so much the deep threat, now playing with Tampa. Pierre Garçon, we saw him the other night in San Francisco. So they are looking to reconstruct this passing game now.
2nd and 6. Cousins gets hit as he throws, and the pass is caught, but right at the line of scrimmage. Niles Paul, the tight end, makes the catch. Mario Edwards put the heat on. 3rd down and 9.
Boy, did he ever. Mario Edwards, remember, he was right here. He was injured for most of last season, had a hip injury, out weeks 1 through 13. But he is a dynamic playmaker on the inside. Then you match that up with Bruce Irvin and Khalil Mack on the outside. It's going to be tough to stop these guys.
Thompson now in the backfield, the 3rd down back who scored the game's touchdown, first touchdown. He already has 4 this year. As he got a flag before the snap. False start. Going to make it 3rd and 14.
False start. Offense, number 76. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
Right tackle Morgan Moses.
I can't say that I blame Morgan Moses. He's got Khalil Mack on the outside here, and you better get out there for the Defensive Player of the Year from a season ago. But Moses and this entire offensive line, they're sort of fun to watch. They really are pretty athletic. They pull, maybe not quite as much counter OT and some of the stuff from back in the day of the Hogs, but it does remind you of that a little bit.
Tripp set to the left. Cousins looks that way, throws. Crowder makes the catch on the run. There's another flag, though. And he comes up what would be about 3 yards shy of the 1st down. Here's Correnti. Wants to see what the Raiders want to do here. Take the play, and it's 4th and 3.
Pass interference. Offense, number 14. This penalty has been declined. The result of the play creates 4th down.
It's Ryan Grant, and it brings in the Washington punting group.
Yeah, they're trying to get that old Green Bay play where you just run out and block, and this happens so fast that it doesn't matter. But he was on TJ Carey so quickly, and you can do that within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage, but he was well down the field.
Tressway is the punter. Good kick. Fielded at the 11-yard line by Jalen Richard, and great coverage there. That pins the Raiders way back. Redskins went defense in the draft. Jonathan Allen out of Alabama, 17th overall pick. And their 2nd choice, Ryan Anderson, also from Alabama. In the last 10 drafts, Nick Saban has produced 22 first-round draft choices. You think he can recruit a little bit?
Yes, sir. 19.5 sacks for Alabama combined between those two.
Cordero Patterson, the former Viking, first year as a Raider, comes into the backfield, and they give him the ball. And he's kind of a Swiss Army knife guy. They use him as a run back guy, receiver. Never quite made it in Minnesota, and decided he needed a fresh start someplace else. And he picks up 8 yards here, 2nd down and 2.
But he can run. Kenny Al, we saw him last week, and this guy's legit. Watch him break this tackle here. That's a linebacker coming up there to take a shot at him. Spate and just bounces off. But we see him in motion, out of empty sets, coming back. Had a long touchdown run out of the backfield last week. He's done some really good things.
6'2" and 220. Now they go with Lynch in the backfield. Straight drop, fires to the outside, incomplete, off the hands of Jared Cook. Another one of the new Raiders picked him up in free agency. Green Bay, remember, he made that catch against Dallas last year that was over the moon. Set up Mason Crosby for the field goal that knocked Dallas out of the playoffs.
Yeah, the Raiders really didn't have a guy like that. They have been playing against, in their own division, some really first-rate tight ends that are mismatches down the field, and basically they wanted one of their own, and they got Jared Cook.
So last drive, 2 sacks, first 2 games, 2 sacks. Mentioned last year, the Raiders best in the league at avoiding a sack. 3rd and 2, and Lynch goes to the outside, and they slam him down. That's Preston Smith, who already has a sack of his own and a beautiful tackle right there to create 4th down.
Man, what a play. Preston Smith, he's the player of the game so far out here. Lee Smith has got to be one of the best, if not the best, blocking tight ends in the game. And watch him just throw him aside and go tackle one of the toughest guys to tackle in football in the backfield. Impressive by Preston Smith so far.
Lynch 3 carries, only 7 yards. Here comes Marquette King. His first punt was 56 yards. And a good bounce on it. This one is higher and deeper on the fly anyway. And backing up is Crowder to make the fair catch at the 19-yard line. Washington ball when we come back. 7-0 Redskins.
There's a guy that feels very much at home in Oakland. Ken Norton Jr., the defensive coordinator. Boy, he was aggressive in that game last week. Has been doing a little bit of that as well. Kind of interesting because really Pete Carroll, where he came, is really not much of a pure blitz kind of guy.
Very different as P. Ryan takes it. It's to the outside and picks up a yard up to the 21-yard line. He's already carried. The Oklahoma rookie has 7 times for just 16 yards.
Here's a little bit of what I was talking about, Al, on the backside of some of these plays. This offensive line, you're going to see a lot. Remember this back in the day with the old Redskins and the Hogs and all that sort of stuff? Athletic pretty much across the board. Almost any of them can get out in front of a play and pull, and eventually that can wear down a defense a little bit. Now they're going to the empty set with the very versatile Chris Thompson coming out of the backfield down here to the bottom.
These guys calling themselves Hogs 2.0, but a false start here.
False start.
So naturally the minute we start talking about the offensive
the left
line.
side of the line. 5-yard penalty remains, 2nd down.
I told you they were quick.
They can back up in a hurry too.
Yeah. Trent Williams on that one, but this guy has consistently been, I think by any measurement, top 3 left tackle in the National Football League now for 5 years running, something like that. He's incredibly athletic.
4th overall pick in the draft back in 2010 out of Oklahoma. 2nd and 13. Cousins fires, and that's caught at the 31 by Ryan Grant. Grant, who got into the end zone at the Coliseum in LA last week, beats Conley on the play and a first down gain of 14.
How about this throw by Kirk Cousins? Any questions about his arm strength? He just rifled that one out there, perfectly timed, threw it well before the break. I think Kirk Cousins should pay us to come to his games. He lit up Green Bay in the game we did here last year.
And then Green Bay didn't lose the game the rest of the way until the playoffs. Cousins fires to the outside. Coming back to make the catch is Terrell Pryor. So the one-time Raider quarterback, now a wide receiver, was with Cleveland last year, signed here. Nice play.
Watch this throw. You think the last one was good. Watch this one. Mario Edwards is going to go right in his face, and he is going to have to make this throw just basically falling on the ground. Right back, falling down, and gets a completion. That's remarkable.
Cousins is 7 for 7 for 85 yards. 2 minutes left in the opening quarter. To the outside. Nowhere to run. P. Ryan taken down by Bruce Irvin.
Well, let's take a look at this Redskins offensive line. And on the outside, Morgan Moses. He has the heavy lifting tonight with Khalil Mack. Sheriff inside. Very good at picking up blitzes, as you see there. And then look at all the space in there to complete that big throw down the field to Vernon Davis.
There is Bill Callahan. He's the offensive line coach, assistant head coach. Bill Callahan coached the Raiders to the Super Bowl in 2002 after John Gruden left and lost that game to Gruden, Tampa Bay and San Diego.
Mike Tice, the other offensive line coach, 2 former head coaches.
3rd and 6, and that is too high and incomplete, intended for Chris Thompson. Covered by James. Washington with 4 first downs in the game. Oakland has none. And Washington with 98 total yards, and Oakland with 6.
Very impressive that time by Corey James to be able to cover Chris Thompson, one of the better receiving backs out of the backfield.
Tress Way, his first punt was 58 yards. Speedy Jalen Rashad calls for a fair catch and holds it in at the 22. So a little over a minute to play in the first quarter. You know what's fun about a game like this, Chris, among the fact that we got a lot of stars in the game. These teams don't meet each other very often. I think it's 4 times in 19 years. Of course, they did meet back in the Super Bowl in the early 80s. Marcus Allen had a pretty good day.
Yeah, he had one where he went like that, and then he came back around and did the whole thing, and saw Joe Theismann a little bit earlier up here. But I'm really stunned at how well the Redskins are playing on the defensive side against what I thought was a tremendous offense. I mean, they were smoking a week ago, yes, against the Jets, but the Jets came back today and looked good.
Beat Miami at home. They go 5 wide on first down. Quick throw dropped by Michael Crabtree. Crabtree's had a great year. He had 3 touchdowns last week against the Jets. They've targeted him 14 times now and have connected 12.
Yeah, you can see what the Redskins are trying to do defensively is just sort of keep everything right in front of them. But when first down is not going well, I mean, they are so used to now Marshawn Lynch running over somebody behind this offensive line and getting it going. There's Greg Minuski. His guys have been on point so far.
Lynch now in the backfield. 2nd down and 10. Raiders looking for their initial first down. They give it to Lynch. Spinning and trying to get free and couldn't. Up to the 27-yard line he goes. It'll be 3rd down and 5.
One thing you'll see with Marshawn Lynch is he gets very deep in the hole and almost stops right in behind guys. Like, you'll see him almost just run right into the back of some offensive linemen for some of his big runs and then make some sort of a late move. But 50% of his runs this year, the first tackler have missed. That's pretty remarkable. Number 1 in the NFL.
Under a half minute to go. Carr is still looking for his first completion. He's 0 for 3. And there it is. And it's enough for a first down as Amari Cooper makes the catch. You got enough Raider fans here. You hear Coop, but a flag just came in with the clock stopped at 14 seconds. Raiders indicating it's against Washington. Tony Correnti will be the judge and jury here. Well, he'll be the judge. You got a couple of jurors there talking to him.
There was contact, a block on the outside by
After
Seth
the catch
Roberts.
And during the run, holding offense number 10. This 10-yard penalty and repeat, 3rd down.
Yeah, there was nothing wrong with the block. It wasn't pass interference or anything like that. But you'll see right at the end of it, he wraps his arms around Josh Norman. Right? Yeah, well, okay. Yeah. Okay, controversy's over.
Right. Roberts takes Norman down, so no first downs. As the ball goes back to the 23-yard line, and they wind the clock, and that's going to take us to the end of the quarter. So the end of the first quarter, it's Washington 7, Oakland nothing. Sunday Night Football resumes after these messages. Third down and 9, starting the second frame with the Raiders looking for their first down. What would have been that first down at the end of the first quarter, negated by the penalty on Roberts. Carr hangs in there, fires, and it's dropped. And that's nothing new. That's Amari Cooper, who has already dropped 6 this season. Their number 1 pick back in 2015.
You know what's amazing about that is just the fact that Cooper had a really rough year his first year with drops, came back in the second year and problem solved, had really not much of an issue at all, and now comes back this year and starts with 6 drops in the first 3 games.
So their 4th possession, this is their 3rd punt, and they had the interception that led to the Washington touchdown. And King, well, I tell you what, he's the reincarnation of Ray Guy. Sends that to the 16-yard line. Let's go to Michelle.
Well, this offseason, Trent Williams organized the second annual Hogs 2.0 offensive line camp. Williams said the moniker is not meant to suggest this line is as good as the ones that won 3 Super Bowls. He simply wanted to pay homage to the rich tradition and emulate their playing style. And the purpose of the camp, work out, hang out, and bond. He told me you need that camaraderie when you have 5 guys that have to move in unison, Al.
Yeah, Hogs 2.0. Michelle, you know, remember all his fans would dress as the Hogs. They need to bring that back. The Hogettes.
I tell you the other thing I love here in this stadium. They have a band.
Yeah.
I love bands at football games.
And that's in the song, Hail to the Redskins every time they score. Play fake. Cousins rolls to his right. Throws to Vernon Davis. And Davis.
Wow.
Some nifty moves. Flag, though, comes in on the other side of the field. That would have been a 7-yard gain. Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Vernon Davis looked like a scat back on that one.
Holding. Offense, number 11. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Flag on Terrell Pryor.
Now Pryor's going to come all the way across the field and just do another takedown. I don't know if they're practicing tackling during their practice or not, but so far we've seen more wide receiver tackles than we've seen blocks. And he really needs to be the guy. Here's the 2 head coaches going head to head. Both of them pretty good players back in their day.
Pryor was the last guy drafted by Al Davis before he died. Got him in the supplemental draft out of Ohio State in 2011.
But not to play wide receiver.
But not to play, right. He was a quarterback. This is caught by Pirine. And the rookie takes it up to the 20-yard line. So it was 1st and 17 after the penalty. It'll be 2nd down and call it 7.
Yeah, and you begin to see the screen passes for the Redskins are sort of coming back in vogue because they are so athletic getting out front. That time Brandon Sheriff able to get out in front of the play. So you'll see a lot of pulling. You'll see some pitches to the outside. You'll see screens, all because of a very athletic offensive line.
From the 20, Chris Thompson picks up about 4, setting up 3rd and short.
Yeah, that time it's the center, Spencer Long, coming out in front. I mean, there just aren't that many centers in the NFL that pull. Nobody over his head, so you get him out in front, hanging with David Amerson down the field. Last week we probably would have seen a blitz in this situation. We'll see what Ken Norton has in store here.
From the 25, Raiders 4 guys up along the line. And look out, and Cousins is going to go down. And that's Mack, the defensive player of the year. Beats Moses, the right tackle, for the sack to make it 4th and 13. A 10-yard sack for him.
Yeah, a really good idea here because they're going to bring Mack off the edge, but they blitzed the inside linebacker that time, Nicholas Morrow, so that they couldn't chip on the outside against Khalil Mack. Really well designed that time by Ken Norton.
Tress Way. This will be the 6th punt of the game. Every one of the punts have been over 50 yards. 31-yard line, and that's great coverage there. Fabian Moreau takes down Richard. Mack, the sackmeister. 7-0, Washington.
Jack Del Rio, linebacker from the University of Southern California.
Yes, sir. When Jack has finished sacking quarterbacks, he can't wait to turn pro so he can appear in beer commercials. He told me he's not sure which he enjoys more, a blitz or a schlitz.
Jack Del Rio with Bob Hope 3 decades ago. Holcomb with the ball, and it's Jared Cook, the tight end, making the catch. So Jack Del Rio third year here in Oakland. He's a Bay Area native. Coached Jacksonville, the head coach there between 03 and 11. And he was telling us yesterday during the offseason, with a false start here or an offside, one of the two.
Neutral zone infraction, defense number 91. This 5-yard penalty will result in a first down.
Ryan Kerrigan. So when Jack left the playing field, he was going to be a broker at Merrill Lynch, had a job.
Or he had clients,
he had
too.
clients during the offseason.
While he was playing.
And then he ran into Tony Dungy, and Dungy said, "Are you really happy, Jack?" "Well, you know, maybe." He said, "You need to get into coaching." How'd that work out?
Pretty well for both those guys. You know, Jack Del Rio, I think, was upset that Tony Dungy didn't get a head coaching job sooner.
Here's Lynch now. That was Oakland's first down of the game. So a man who would have paid a lot of attention to bond futures winds up as a coach, and he's been a coach since 1997. Started with Mike Ditka at New Orleans, went to Baltimore for a while, to Carolina for a year, then to Jacksonville. He was Denver's defensive coordinator for 3 years and then got the Oakland job in 15.
Yeah, and I think he understands Marshawn Lynch's passion for that area maybe better than anybody because he shares it.
2nd and 9. And Carr throws underneath. Lynch makes the catch. And shows a little beast mode action there. Still can't bring him down. Finally, they sling him down. Broke one tackle, then takes it up to the point where they have a 3rd down and 1.
You know, when he catches a pass or makes a run, it's almost like a fist fight's about to ensue. You know, the first guy almost never gets him on the ground. And look at, did you see Josh Norman there? He punched out a couple of balls a week ago, and he took a shot that time on Marshawn Lynch.
Trying to channel Peanut Tillman.
Yeah, the peanut punch.
3rd and 1 at the 48. Carr from the pocket, and that's going to be picked off at the 29-yard line. And was he down by contact? That's Kendall Fuller, and they are going to say he was. So the rest of the play doesn't matter, and that's the 2nd interception of the night.
And down by contact, Redskins ball, first down.
Boy, just impressive. Off to your left-hand side here, you're going to get a chance to see yet another big play by this secondary. I tell you, this team, Greg Minuski made this comment to me. He said the Raiders think they're going to come out here and punch us in the face and intimidate us and push us around, and I'm telling you right now, that ain't happening. It ain't happening, and so far in this first, whatever it is, quarter and a half, it has not happened.
Had no picks coming into the game. Didn't throw 2 in any one game last season. And now on the ground, and finally some room for Pirine, whose knee is down about a yard short of the first down, up at the 38-yard line. 2nd and 1.
Big Brandon Sheriff inside, overpowering. And there's Derek Carr on the outside. Let's take a look right here and just watch these guys work down the field. Nice block there inside on the young rookie Morrow.
And with a yard to gain, that's about all he's going to get, but actually he's able now to lean forward, pick up 3 to the 40. So Pirine was down there at Oklahoma, shared time with Joe Mixon, now with Cincinnati. School record in rushing yards, and that's saying something when you do it in Norman. We talked about those 427 yards in one game versus Kansas.
Supposedly, he does things in the weight room that are otherworldly. That he has just remarkable feats of strength, and over time, much like Marshawn Lynch, can wear down a defense.
Only 5'11", but 233. It's like all muscle. To the outside, that is caught. That's Ryan Grant, and Grant takes it across the 50-yard line and has a first down.
And we're seeing the Raiders coming out in a little bit of zone defense. They're pretty young at the linebacker position, so maybe they're feeling like they need to be a little careful with some of the stunts. They already blew the one coverage for the touchdown down the field, so maybe a little bit more conservative here now.
8.5 to go in the half. Put a fullback in there. That's Niles Paul. Vernon Davis sets up in the slot left. And P. Ryan behind the fullback. And that proves effective. Takes it to the 42-yard line. The rookie middle backer, Markel Lee, makes the tackle.
We're going right over Brandon Sheriff here. Coming outside, it was Mario Edwards who was creating some problems in the passing game. So now they're starting to attack this defensive line in the run game.
2nd and 2.
It's a hot night, too.
Yeah, I was just going to say that because you saw Mack come off the field just for a breather. It's still 81 degrees. And now Mack is back in. And Cousins dancing around, fires, and that's caught. Inbounds Terrell Pryor with a great catch. Gets both feet in. Got position on Amerson on the play. Gain of 13 and a first down.
There you go for an inexperienced wide receiver. Nice play. He comes down the field. Should have come back to the ball a little bit. Doesn't do that, but immediately reacts when his quarterback goes to the outside. Did he get those feet down? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because you had the challenge before the snap and they didn't. So P. Ryan gains a yard and a half here. 2nd down. One more look at that play.
Just the question whether that stayed on the ground long enough to control the ball. Close.
Probably would have stayed with the call on the field. That's been the MO these days. Mac Brown comes in. First time, 2nd-year guy out of Florida. Stays in the block. Pass is caught on the outside by Vernon Davis, but only a short gain. Carl Joseph, the strong safety, 2nd year out of West Virginia, their #1 pick last year, with the stop.
Yeah, just in his 2nd year, and this guy really put on a show in the game last week. They blitzed him quite a bit, and I was asking Ken Norton about that, and he said, you know, I don't know. I didn't really plan on doing it, but we started doing it, and he was making plays and looked like he was having fun, and he likes to play downhill and attack the offense, so we're letting him attack the offense.
3rd and 6. Bunch 3 receivers to the left. Cousins looking that way. Throws, and that's going to be caught. Conley covering on the play. Crowder making the catch. Beats the rookie Conley, and it's enough for a first down inside the 20.
I think Conley missed this deflection by about 2 inches here. Take a look. 22 on the outside. Is going to react back underneath. Sort of gets his arm around, but that one just perfectly thrown, and a great job that time by Cousins to keep it low so you can use that body to make that catch as well. Here's the big battle on the outside. Moses going against Mack. That's all you can ask.
Cousins 13 of 14. Blitz coming from the outside. They run it down to the 15-yard line with P. Ryan. 13 carries for P. Ryan already for 39 yards, averaging 3 per tote.
You know, I kind of feel a little bit sorry for Jay Gruden and Matt Cavanaugh on the offensive side, because people like me want to go, where's the big plays? We see #1 in the league a year ago with big pass plays. But you don't have Deshaun Jackson. You don't have Pierre Garçon. So it's going to be a different look. And I think that maybe a little bit more power football out of the Redskins this year.
On a warm night, a 17-7-minute difference in time of possession. Play action. Cousins flings it to the outside, and that'll go nowhere. Crowder makes the catch. T.J. Carey with the tackle. You go back to last season when they had Pierre Garçon and Deshaun Jackson, each over 1,000 yards. They let Garçon go. He goes to San Francisco. Jackson goes to Tampa. First team to lose 2,000-yard receivers, and they went out and got Pryor, and then they just hope that Doxson can be the guy at some point. And they've got Crowder as well, normally out of the slot.
You know, Pryor can fly. He ran under 4.4, and it's a big reason why, of course, the Raiders wanted him even to play quarterback. And he made big plays at quarterback. I remember some long runs he had playing quarterback for them.
Absolutely. 3rd down and 9. And going to the end zone and caught for the touchdown. Vernon Davis. And the free throw is good.
The route was pretty darn good, too. Vernon Davis tearing up, and he's going against the cornerback, Sean Smith, who's a big guy, 6'3". But again, Vernon Davis in that speed ran right by a corner. And here we go, the big battle on the outside. Moses just enough to give Kirk Cousins time to make that throw. That was a really impressive drive by the Washington Redskins.
11 plays, 72 yards. Hopkins for the point after. So Davis into the end zone. Maybe a 12-foot jump shot instead of a free throw. Either way, it's
Turn
Washington
around.
14, Oakland nothing. FedEx Field out here in Landover, Maryland. Redskins looking good so far. Oakland unable to get on track. And a kickoff here through the end zone. So Cousins hot tonight. He's only thrown one incomplete pass, 15 of 16. Carr 3 of 8 for only 23 yards. And that last drive, Cousins pays it off with that touchdown pass. He's thrown 2 tonight. Last one to Vernon Davis.
Yeah, and Marshawn Lynch so far 5 carries for 13 yards, and they're doing this without their powerful inside linebacker Mason Foster, who's out with a shoulder injury, and yet they are still able to stuff the run.
Jalen Richard is the back here, the speedy one. So they start a drive with him, and Richard with a good burst. He gets tripped up by Nicholson, who had the early interception, but not only picks up a first down.
I was wondering when we were going to get back to some of the simplicity of this offense, and this monster right here. Kelechi Osemele, I think, is one of the best players anywhere. He's been one of the best guards for a number of years in a row, and usually he and Donald Penn on the left side begin to take over games.
From the 35. Carr throws underneath Richard up to the 40-yard line. That's a gain of 4. Second down and 6. Clock ticking down to 3 minutes to go in the opening half. And there is Mason Foster.
You know, that big interception you talked about. He is really, and you know, we were talking a little bit. I said, who is the guy that can replace him? Just big, heavy, downhill playing linebacker. And they're like, we really don't have another one of those. Pretty unique guy.
And now Spade is in there in that spot. Here's a toss to Richard. He will get swallowed up by Ryan Kerrigan. He was their #1 pick back in 2011. In his career, he's had 60 sacks, so he's paid off beautifully out of Purdue.
Wide receiver's not going to make this block. Coming down here against big Ryan Kerrigan. One of the best sack artists, 11 sacks a season ago. I think he smelled that one all the way and just beat Seth Roberts to the punch.
3rd and 13. Olawale is now in the backfield, fullback, and that's going to take us before the snap to the 2-minute warning. 2 to the half. 14-0 Redskins. So 3rd and 13 with 2 minutes remaining in the half.
No catches by these wide receivers yet.
Carr is 4 out of 9. And then finally you've got Seth Roberts, but he pays the price after a very short game. Zach Brown knocks him down, former Titan and Bill, and it'll be 4th down.
Well, Zach Brown is a huge addition to this defense. He can run 4.44. There are wide receivers in this league, and one that's a broadcaster now that couldn't run 4.44. And he is a striker. So you add him along with Mason Foster on the inside. Let me see. Right there. Faking like he's going to blitz. Come back under, and Seth Roberts is going to wish he had not. But that kind of speed. Blew a coverage in the game last week and still young to the system. But it doesn't matter to Greg Minuski, the defensive coordinator. He loves him. He just loves the way he flies around the field, makes big plays. DJ Swearinger, another guy in that category, now the captain of this team in his first year playing safety. It's a tough bunch.
Washington took its first time out. And King is in to punt 4th time. Averaging 57 yards a kick. Hauled in at the 9-yard line. Crowder gets away to run it back about 6 yards. And that's where Washington will take over. 142 to the half. Redskins with 2 timeouts. Start from the 15.
Hey, Lucky! Lucky!
Run a draw. Thompson. Plenty of room and a 13-yard gain and a 1st down. Run out by Reggie Nelson.
Well, we've already seen Thompson score the touchdown. You'll see Spencer Long get out in front of this thing one more time, but there aren't many points in the year where you look up a player's stats like Chris Thompson and you see he's averaging 13.5 yards per carry and 11.5 yards per run. That's a pretty impressive start, and he's been just as impressive here tonight.
And 4 touchdowns. 2 running, 2 receiving. Set up a screen, tucking away. There's Thompson again. And Thompson out to midfield before he is finally run out after a big gain. Broke away from Reggie Nelson that time.
Great play by Sean Laval, the left guard. Had some trouble in protection. Watch him go down first, secure that block, then get out and dive and make the block on the edge just enough of Reggie Nelson to send Thompson down the field.
23-yard gain. Skins have gained 214 yards tonight. Oakland's 48. Better than a 4-to-1 ratio. Minute and a half to go. To the outside he goes, up in the air and incomplete, off the hands of Ryan Grant. 2nd down and 10. David Amerson, who started his career here in Washington, with the coverage.
Yeah, and in general, Al, I would say this Raiders team is going to go as far as this secondary can take them. Sean Smith, Gary Conley, David Amerson, who was a former Redskin, basically it did not work out here. Went over there and things went very well for him on that side. TJ Carey, but you know they want to be aggressive in Oakland, and those corners are going to have to hold up all year.
Conley was their #1 pick out of Ohio State. Run a draw here. Finding a little crease is Thompson. Again, Washington impressive offensively tonight and going without Rob Kelly, who would be their #1 running back with a rib injury. Take a timeout. They do here with 1:09. Back in 30. Redskins 1 timeout now, 69 seconds. It's 3rd down and 6 from the 45-yard line. In the pocket. And that's going to be close to a 1st down. Vernon Davis tackled. They'll give him forward progress as the umpire lines it up, and that's going to be a 1st down. Give him a good spot, a good Washington spot.
Yeah. See how quickly they can snap this ball and not have it think about it.
Well, no challenge inside of 2 minutes. Not a lot they can do about it.
Here we go. I thought we might get.
We'll go under review.
Right, that's interesting.
We might get one of those.
So you can't challenge it, but you can have an official review. So New York can say, hold everything down there in D.C. And they'll look at it here.
Did not make it to the 39.
Doesn't look like he has it. We're back in 30 seconds. Tony Correnti on with New York. We think they're going to overturn the 1st down call. It was 4th and it was 3rd and 6. So this would make it 4th down in inches if they move it back, which we think they will.
You know, this is going to be interesting, Al, because they should wind the clock. Let's say they overturn it. They should wind the clock. Now, if you let the Redskins run that clock down, it makes it a lot easier decision to go for it because they don't want to give the Raiders the ball right there right before the half. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see.
The runner was short of the line to gain. The ball will be placed at the 39.5-yard line. It will be Washington's ball, 4th down. The clock is correct at 39 seconds.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Raiders ended up feeling like they had to call a timeout. Maybe not. Maybe 39 seconds is enough, but they should be winding this thing, right?
Absolutely. And they will as soon as they have the ball spotted ready for play.
And that's what Karenni just said. He's going in and told them in the huddle, here they go, wind the clock.
And there goes the clock down to about a half a minute with Pirine in the backfield. So trying to draw Oakland offside. Crowd doesn't like it, but they don't want to take the chance here. Give Oakland the ball back, let them score. So they'll take the delay, kick it down to
delay game, offense, 5-yard penalty, and remain 4th down.
So it stays 4th down. They'll leave Oakland with no time and with a decent kick very deep in their own territory.
It's kind of interesting now with 22 seconds on the clock. Would you think about going for this thing here? I mean, if you run something, you can't now. They've got the penalty that moved it back. I might have called timeout there and just, I don't know.
Interesting thought, yeah. I think we'll be happy to go into the locker room.
No doubt.
With a nice lead. Fair caught at the 11 by T.J. Carey, 14 seconds. That's the Jefferson Memorial here in Washington on this first night of autumn, 81 degrees.
One of the great cities, really, in America. I love coming here. I love the museums. I love the memorial. I just love being here.
So this will end the half, and Washington will get the ball to start the 3rd quarter. So a great half for the Redskins. 223 total yards to 47, 11 first downs to 2. And Cousins red hot with 2 touchdown passes. 2 huge turnovers leading to both Redskins scores. Giorgio Tavecchio to kick off and booms that one through the end zone. And we go to the field and Michelle.
Well, Jay Gruden gave all the credit to his defense, saying our defense is giving our offense opportunities. So if we can keep Marshawn Lynch in check and we can continue to get pressure on Carr, that's the key. As for Jack Del Rio, I asked him, where do you start to make corrections? And he said, we start in the second half because the first half wasn't very good. And then he kind of chuckled when I asked for specifics and said, it was just a bad half of football, but we're a good team and we'll respond.
And we'll see about that, Michelle, as they go on defense here to start the 3rd quarter. Pirine is the back. Put Niles Paul in as a fullback. Pirine's carried 13 times for 38 yards. Carry number 14. He runs into a wall and then is able to force his way up to the 27, gain of a couple. Lee makes the tackle.
How about the first half by Kirk Cousins? He just made a few remarkable, that one may be one of the best ones I've seen all year. Falling to the ground, getting that thing out of his hands. This was a rocket, right on the money. And then the touchdown pass, you can tell when a guy, it's sort of like a shooter in basketball, you know what I mean? You can just tell when a guy has it going on, when he has a little feel, a little confidence, and that was Kirk Cousins in that first half.
Hot hand. 17 and 19. It's 2nd down and 8 from the 27. The pressure on him, gets hit as he throws, and it's dropped. Almost a completion. Josh Doxson covered by David Amerson. Doxson, their #1 pick last year. Mack put the heat on 3rd and 8.
Another fadeaway jumper here, coming with the pressure right up the gut. Watch Cousins again falling to the ground, and it should have been complete.
Fullback, baby.
Leo Mack is working. They're trying to maybe get him off of Morgan Moses here a little bit. Create a little additional pressure, something to think about on that side of the line to free up Mack.
Chris Thompson is the 3rd down back. He had a good half. Sending out into the pattern. And there he is, up to the 39 and beyond. Almost to midfield. Boy, he has done a great job tonight. 3 grabs, 64 yards, and he's carried 3 times for 21.
This is pretty good stuff. And when you hear, oh, was that elbow down, though? That was the question. I don't think he was on the ground, but that left elbow might have been down. How much does Jay Gruden love this guy, though? That elbow is down.
Oh, man, that could be challenged and should be and is. So Del Rio gets the word, I'm sure, from on high. And if the elbow was down, and it appears that it was, that would.
It's still going to be a first down.
Well, that was for 19.
Pretty sure.
Go back to where we were here. So it was 3rd and 8 at the 27.
So he caught it and turned
up.
There
was no challenge on the play. The play stands as ruled first down.
I think Del Rio would have challenged it if it wasn't a first down. But once it was a first down, so what are you challenging for? To gain, 5 yards?
Exactly, and it's better served. Yes, he knew he was down. Clearly, first down.
Well, now Del Rio, I think, is going to challenge it. Well, he got 7 yards. Okay, so it's 7.
I think what he's saying is, I don't know. Is it a first down? Was it not a first down?
Oakland is challenging the ruling on the field that the runner was not down by contact.
Well, they'll probably win the challenge. So is it worth a challenge? I guess, 7 yards is 7 yards.
But I'm not sure he's clear on whether or not it was a first down or not. We obviously have a little more technology around us.
Well, you would hope that somebody upstairs would have told him. I mean, somebody had to tell him, one of the guys upstairs, one of the coaches, it's a first down. Regardless. So it's 7, maybe 8 yards is what you're challenging for at this point. Not that you have to hold on to your challenges, but, it's not a no-brainer to say, hey, look, we'd rather have those 7 yards back.
And they'll win the challenge, so they'll get the additional one, assuming they win the next one.
The next one, right. But if you lose the next one, you're out of them.
People think that the head coaches have all this information on the sideline. In reality, they're totally dependent on the guys upstairs in the booth.
We have a better view, believe me.
After review, the runner's left elbow was on the ground at the time of contact. It will be a first down at the 38-yard line. Clock will start on my signal.
Yep.
There is no timeout. Charge to Oakland.
So back it comes now to the 38. But again, it is Thompson. Had a big touchdown run last week in Los Angeles. Turns out to be an 11-yard gain here. And back they go to P. Ryan. Again, their number 1 back, Kelly, inactive tonight with a rib injury. And P. Ryan having a tough time getting on track tonight, going through the middle. Little pushy shovey going on here. And a flag is thrown.
Holding, offense, number 84. 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Tight end Niles Paul.
Yeah, well, guess who he was trying to block?
Let me guess, 52?
Right down there. You're going to see him come into the screen trying to block Khalil Mack. And so you do what you can. Sometimes you get caught. You can see hooking underneath. Gets a little nasty in there, doesn't it?
Just a tad. Ball now back at the 28 on a 1st and 20. And Thompson will go nowhere. That's Mack again in on the tackle.
Well, you want to see exactly how you get to be Defensive Player of the Year. Here you go, 104 quarterback pressures. That's sacks, hits, and pressures. Here he is against the run, tackles for loss or no gain, 49. Guess where that ranked? Number 1 among all the edge defenders. Just a remarkable player, both run and pass. And one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet in your life.
Favorite movie is Mary Poppins.
Favorite song, Spoonful of Sugar.
2nd and 20. And they get it to Thompson, and he gets around Joseph and turns it into a nice gain. Out to the 44-yard line. 3rd and 5.
Well, I tell you, this young man's turning into a one-man show coming out of the backfield. So nice as a quarterback when you can dump it off there, make a safety miss, 2 guys miss and put yourself back after a bad start into a 3rd and manageable here.
Now the Redskins in total yardage better than a 5-to-1 ratio tonight.
I think that's Vernon Davis flanked out one-on-one at the top. Had good success there. Now the safety leaning that way.
Emerson is on him. They swing it out. Thompson again. His big night continues. He gets taken down by Carey, but not until he picks up the first down.
Now, one of the things, you get that bunch formation, and you want to get the corners to get a bit of a jam on the outside. But sometimes you do that, you get leaning the wrong way, and you could see the cornerback, because that's TJ Carey, because he wanted to try and jam the receiver, lean inside, and then he couldn't pick up Thompson on the outside soon enough. I'll tell you, talk about Kirk Cousins having a hot hand. Jay Gruden's got a pretty hot hand calling these plays, too.
Mac Brown is now the back. They fake it to him. Cousins going deep down the right sideline, and it's hauled in, and into the end zone goes Jackson for a touchdown. 52 yards to the rookie who missed almost all of last season. And Dan Snyder, the president of the team, exults.
And I guarantee you at least one word out of his mouth was finally. Finally, our first-round draft pick made the kind of play we've been waiting to see. He's had all kinds of injuries on IR last year with Achilles. They knew he was a vertical player, knew he had the ability to go over the top, thought he was going to be a great red zone target. And Dan Snyder said, yeah, baby, finally.
And he beats the former Redskin, Emerson. So Carr pacing the sideline now. His team down by 3 touchdowns. Hopkins for the point after it. 10:37 left in the 3rd quarter, and the Redskins are up 21-0. And that kick well through the end zone. This was during the commercial break with Del Rio and Emerson on the sideline.
2 straight weeks now. He's given up a long one, but really perfect position. There's Reggie Nelson, Khalil Mack talking about it. It's not surprising that Washington's playing well on offense, all right? That's not, but the fact that Washington's defense and Greg Minuski's bunch with an injured leader in Mason Foster has literally stuffed this offense the way they have is a little surprising.
They've held him to 47 yards. This is the first possession of the half. Carr in the pocket, sacked at the 20-yard line. He was not sacked more than once in any game last year, and that's the 3rd time tonight. Kerrigan.
Ryan Kerrigan continues to be hot, working against Marshall Newhouse right there. He's going to push him right back into the pocket as Derek Carr steps up. Nowhere to go.
That's the former 49er head coach Jim Tomsula. Now, one of the defensive coaches here, pretty happy about what's going on. 2nd and 15. Lynch. Oh, and Lynch gets whacked after a gain of 4. He was down. DJ Swearinger, known for hard hitting, signed from Arizona in the offseason, stops him.
That guy is the dynamic leader. How many guys have ever come over in the offseason and been named captain of a defense? He's the only captain on the defensive side. He talks more noise. He makes hits like this. He is a leader, and they love him on this defense.
He's like the beast mode of the defense. And the Carr got surprised by the snap, and he's going to go down to the grass again. Jonathan Allen, the rookie from Alabama, is in there. Look at Tomsula. It's surprising. That's what I thought. Yep.
I mean, they are just taking this good offensive line and pushing them straight back into the quarterback. The Raiders are used to being able, that's Matt Ioannidis in there making that play. The Raiders are used to pounding the running game and being able to throw passes off of that. They haven't established a running game, and their passing game is not used to playing this way.
Marquette King line drive kick fielded at the 41 and returnable here as Crowder takes it to the 40-yard line. So a rare liner off the foot of King, who normally bombs him. 42 yards, 19-yard run back. Ball skids. That is a one-sided graphic, tilted far to the right.
Looks more like one of David Carr's sack numbers.
No, it's David, the #1 overall pick back in '02 when the Houston Texans were granted their franchise. Older brother of Derek, who was sacked more in his rookie season than Derek has been in his career. But tonight he's gone down 4 times. This drive starts from the Oakland 41. Pirine will get taken down. That's Khalil Mack. And one other thing about Mack, Defensive Player of the Year last year, how does a guy grow up in the state of Florida, football hotbed, and not get recruited by Florida, Florida State, Miami, anybody? The only college that recruited him was Buffalo. Go figure.
I'd like to apologize on behalf of my Fighting Gators for not offering him an in-suite.
And all the high schools, all the high school scouting that went on. 2nd down and 9. And coming back to make the catch is Ryan Grant inbounds. About 4 yards shy of the first. It'll be 3rd down.
Yeah, no question. Now they have Amerson's attention over there, so you get beat deep. And so what do? You come right back with one of these stops because you know he's thinking, I'm not getting beat deep again. So that's a bit of the game going on. And Jay Gruden, a former Arena League quarterback, knows all about that game.
3rd and 3 from the 34. Back off the blitz. Send just 4. Cousins has time. And that is incomplete. Pryor looks for a flag, doesn't get it. That's Amerson covering on the play to be 4th down.
Well, one of the things here, Al, is the Raiders are now starting to tip their blitzes just a little bit. You could hear Kirk Cousins going, Ringo, Ringo. So what he was doing once he saw Joseph right there was redirecting the line that way, leaving on an island back here Trent Williams. So he doesn't end up coming on the blitz, but you could tell that Kirk Cousins was prepared for it if in fact it happened.
52-yard attempt coming here for Dustin Hopkins. Low snap, but getting the ball down. However, the kick is no good. Snapper was Sundberg. Tress Way was the holder. Trouble getting it down. No good. Well, they call him a shutdown corner, and you are a shutdown corner when they don't even throw at you.
Pretty impressive, isn't it?
Josh Norman, right? 4 years at Carolina, 2nd year here. Raiders change it up here. Now they have DeAndre Washington out of Texas Tech in the backfield. Looking for some kind of a spark. Can he give it to him? Not here. All the spark belongs to the Washington Redskins.
Yeah, Josh Norman, what does he call it? I'm out here picking daisies. Nobody will even throw a pass my way. I just sit out here, so I got involved in the run game, punched 2 out with those big, huge bicep muscles a week ago, caused 2 fumbles in that game, and he has been pretty special. When teams do go after him, the numbers are not very good at all. One of the top corners in the league.
Carr out of the gun now on 2nd and 10 from the 42. Carr is 5 of 10 through the air. That's another one, but a little short gain out to the 48-yard line to Jared Cook. 3rd down.
Yeah, we'll take a look at those numbers when they try and go after Josh Norman. There you have some of the best in football. That is since 2015. Josh Norman, the #1 opponent passer rating against Richard Sherman, Marcus Peters. You know what those guys do. So anytime I see statistics that put 3 of the best players in football on that screen, you know it's pretty legit.
Good company. This drive, best starting field position tonight for the Raiders was the 42. Can they convert? He throws it behind Roberts, and then he gets stuffed. Zach Brown is there. Rashad Breeland is there. And boy, you can see the frustration all over Carr's countenance.
I love this because the first guy is going to take a shot. Then the second guy is going to come clean it up. So just go ahead. First guy, you go get him. Take your shot. Yeah, you miss. But right behind there is your pal, Zach Brown, to make Seth Roberts pay again. What a night tonight by this Washington Redskins defense. I bet you they're getting some attention in Dallas and Philly and New York right now.
For sure. There's Marquette King. 6th punt of the night is a beauty, and it's fumbled, muffed, and recovered by the Raiders. And if the Raiders ever needed a break, that was the one. James Cowser takes it away after Crowder muffs it. So the Raiders get a big break as they try to scramble back into the game.
Cordero Patterson was there so soon, and then he backed up and just goes right through the hands. You really can't ask for one a whole lot easier than that of a veteran player. It happens. And now the Raiders have to capitalize. Watch him. He's going to pull up. Doesn't want the penalty. Backed off. Now let's see if they feel like Marshawn Lynch can do some damage. They've got their tight ends in the game. We haven't seen that left side of the offensive line dominate yet.
Patterson moves over to the left side, and they'll toss it to him, but he'll go nowhere. Ryan Kerrigan just sniffs it out beautifully. He's done that a couple of times tonight.
How good have the outside linebackers been tonight for the Washington Redskins? Everything's going that way, but not that guy, Ryan Kerrigan. He knew who was on the field. They had plenty of scouting about Cordero Patterson. Preston Smith, remember him in the first quarter, completely dominated there, and now it's been Ryan Kerrigan.
On the other side. Look at that, total yardage, 315 to 44. 4 minutes to go in the period. And Carr fires, and that's caught. That's Jared Cook, and he dives and gets into the end zone for a touchdown. But a flag is down. You've got a flag. And it's going to be, well, there's Crowder saying, damn, how did I get rid of, how did I lose the ball? Raiders are almost certain it's against Washington, but we'll see.
Defense number 26. This penalty is declined. Results of the play, touchdown.
Brilliant.
All right, this is why you want Jared Cook on your football team. Watch this route. He's going to come up and run into this guy right here on purpose. Zach Brown's there. Watch him lean into him. That creates a little separation down the field. Now extend. Does he get in?
Well, they're looking at it. Stays in over the goal line.
As long as it crosses that pylon, right?
Well, he's got possession before his feet touch.
Yep, touchdown.
That'll count.
That's what they've been waiting for. Jared Cook making a play.
Well, you had 4 touchdowns in the game tonight, and 3 of them came off turnovers.
Well, you just got the feeling, short of a huge mistake on the part of the Redskins, they were just in control, weren't they? And then you muff a punt, and now you kind of go, oh man, there's 18:52 left in this thing.
And now Giorgio Tavecchio, because Sebastian Janikowski has a back injury. This kid, who was born in Milan and is 27 years old, went to the University of California and had a phenomenal debut at Tennessee with 2 50-yard field goals and 4 in all. Boots it through. So the muff by Crowder, they cash in, and it's a 2-touchdown difference right now, 21-7.
I'm Kirk Cousins. This is my football life. I've been playing football since I was 10 years old. I love football because it's combative, it's intense. I've played all the other sports through the years, and there's nothing quite like it, nothing that tests you as much or is as rewarding when you win. I think the best part about the game of football is the camaraderie, the way that you have to lay it all on the line for the guys around you, brings you together on a team like no other sport.
Redskin quarterback, he's got a couple of things going on. His wife, Julie, she's past her due date. She could give birth at any time. It'd be their first, be a boy. So how great would it be, a win for him and brand new baby in the next few hours.
That would work.
And here's how he announced the birth. Yep. Blue for boy. There you go. Great sign. His dog Bentley.
I think Bentley's a little nervous right now. Is he still okay? You just can never relax in the NFL, can you?
No.
Watching that Eagles game today, and here come the Giants. Back come the Eagles. Marshawn Lynch was dancing a week ago. It was an incredible celebration, and can't get it going here tonight against the Redskins.
But at least they're back in the game, down by 14. And this is P. Ryan, and they've been stuffing him all night, and that's Mack right in the middle of the action, 2nd down and 9.
Well, I just don't know what you do with this guy. And a defensive player of the year for a reason. You don't block him, he's going to make the play. You do block him, he's going to make the play. And haven't heard a whole lot from the other side in Bruce Irvin tonight, but we have not had him block much.
I think I mentioned his name a couple of times at most. Thompson in the backfield. And that's incomplete, intended for Pryor. And no flag on the play. Amerson covering. So they're picking on him tonight, but he's been equal to the task on the last 2 opportunities. 3rd down.
You're going to see here just kind of a rounded route in here by Terrell Pryor. And Amerson with no problem at all with that one. I think he has seen enough action on his side. Got to realize when it's man coverage and then do a little bit more maybe of what we saw on that last play by Jared Cook. He's a young receiver. He's going to learn it. Has all the skills.
3rd and 9. Cousins is going to take off, and he's going to get the 1st down, but a flag is down back at the 17-yard line, all the way back.
Holding, offense, number 71. 10-yard penalty, repeat 3rd down.
So there goes the 1st down, and now you've got a 3rd and a mile, 3rd and 19.
Yeah, Bruce Irvin kind of gave Trent Williams a shot and got him up in the air almost off his feet, and then he ends up grabbing that left shoulder and pulling him down to the ground. And Tony Corrente, you could see as Williams went back to challenge it, Tony kind of waved him off and said, no, you pulled him down. But now we're starting to see the breaks go the Raiders' way here, aren't we?
Yeah, the momentum will be shifting in a minute if they stop him here on 3rd and 19. Also a backup with Laval out at left guard. They swing it out here to Chris Thompson. And Chris Thompson on a 3rd and 19 is going to go maybe all the way, at least all the way down to the 10-yard line. Man, is this guy making some big plays. 74 yards.
Man, watch this big offensive line get out in front of this guy. Good block on the outside by Terrell Pryor as well, but those big offensive linemen flying down in front. There's Spencer Long taking him down the field, and what a night again by Chris Thompson. All 3 linemen coming out on the edge. That is a lineman's dream. They love doing that and seeing those little DBs out there to take a shot at.
Thompson stays in. 1st and goal. Give it to him. He goes to the 8-yard line. Thompson tonight has already gained 173 yards from scrimmage.
You know, I don't know that it really matters who the back is. You've got different body styles in there. Samaje Perine, Rob Kelly, the bigger guys, but that gentleman right there, Chris Thompson, may be the most valuable. He's the one that understands the protections. He can run great. He's an excellent receiver. And boy, you get Jay Gruden talking about him, you have a long conversation.
Fourth-year guy is Thompson out of Florida State. Now Perine is in there, and he gets about half the distance, taking it to the 4. Irvin makes the tackle. 3rd down and goal.
Ken Norton has to be out of his mind right now. What was that, 3rd down and 19?
Third
you
and
flip
19.
out a little wide receiver screen,
yep,
and you nearly break it against the zone defense. Amazing.
Cousins, another 300-yard night, 336 with 3 touchdowns. From the 4. Fake toss to Thompson. Then they give it to Crowder, but that gets sniffed out perfectly. Tackle is made there by Danico Autry, so they will limit them at least to a 3-point attempt.
Really nice job here by a young player in James Cowser. Watch, he's going to see a fake block, start that way, and then come back in and make the play. A confusing play for a defensive end outside linebacker, but he figured it out.
Cowser, the guy who recovered the punt that led to the Oakland touchdown. It'll be 4th and goal. They'll let the clock run out, and we will go to the final quarter. End of 3 in the nation's capital. 21-7 Redskins. Sunday Night Football back after these messages. Tough night for Carr. Only 58 yards through the air. Now Dustin Hopkins to try to make it a 3-possession game. This is a 23-yard attempt. And that makes it a 17-point lead. Cordero Patterson. And he brings it back up to the 22-yard line.
There we go on the defensive side of the ball. What a night it has been for them. We talked about Derek Carr, how quickly he gets rid of the ball, under 2 seconds on average. Not tonight. There you have Ioannidis pushing Jackson right back into the quarterback. The corners on the outside have been all over these wide receivers. Josh Norman's been picking daisies and celebrating sacks. This bunch came in here fired up tonight. And I'll tell you, that guy right there, Greg Minuski, had him wild-eyed.
Carr from the 22. And that's a gain of about 7 to Michael Crabtree. First catch on Norman and the first catch for Crabtree tonight. 3 touchdowns last week against the Jets. Takes him into the 4th quarter before he grabs a single reception tonight.
The biggest thing for me, Al, is that the Raiders and Marshawn Lynch just never established that running game. That's remarkable to me.
Right, now they go to Washington and him in the backfield. Flag is down. Very close to the line of scrimmage. Next voice you hear is Tony Correnti.
Holding offense, number 70. 10-yard penalty and repeat, 2nd down.
There's Semele, the left guard.
Boy, it just seems like every time Jack Del Rio's bunch gets it going a little bit, they get it put in reverse. And because of the pressure by this defensive line and the play of these cornerbacks on the outside, they just can't get their passing game jump-started.
2nd down and 13. Dumps it off underneath. Washington will go nowhere. Martell Sprate makes the tackle. 3rd down.
Boy, these linebackers are not standing back and patiently waiting on anything to come to them. The first linebacker, or whoever the first player is on this defense, is taking a big shot, and while maybe the back slips away from him, there is somebody else there, usually Zach Brown, 53, to clean it up in a hurry.
Raiders are 0 for 7 on third down. Carr deep downfield, and Crabtree can't hold on. He gets whacked as it got there. Monte Nicholson, who had an interception on the second play of the game, upends him. So they still have a goose egg on third down conversions. 0 out of 8.
Here he comes, Monte Nicholson. He may be, there he is with a big shot. When you can plant a safety in the middle of the field, the best in football is Earl Thomas doing it. But when you can put a guy in the middle of the field and he can still get there to make that hit on that throw, good things happen.
7th punt of the night for Marquette King, who's averaging 51.3 yards a kick. He could have the NFL record by the time the season is over. And this is another bomb to the 18-yard line, where Crowder tries to get around the corner and picks up about 7, and you get another flag here. Flag is all the way back down at the 30-yard line.
During the kick, holding receiving team number 39. 10-yard penalty, first down.
And that's on top of a 61-yard kick. Redskins have it. They start from the 9-yard line. And Pirine chugs his way for about 3. They've been on the ground enough tonight. That's 24 carries, but only 70 yards. So they have not really done that much on the ground, averaging less than 3 yards a carry, but at least keeping them honest.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting about this for me is that the Redskins a week ago did it with the run, 229 yards on the ground. This week, just 68 yards on the ground, 327 yards passing. So that's when you start looking at a team with the way they're playing defense, and you go, hey, time to start paying attention here.
Good balance tonight on this side of the ball. They'll take some time off the clock, and the ball comes out.
Wow.
Pirine loses it at the 11-yard line, and the Raiders have it. And that's Cowser again. And you got Pirine reaching for his mouth. Corey James created it. And Cowser comes up with another fumble recovery as Pirine goes to the bench.
James is going to get his helmet right on the ball. Just a perfect form tackle. And once again now, when it started to look like the Raiders just weren't going to be able to mount anything, they catch another turnover deep in Redskins territory.
Again, Rob Kelly out, #1 back. Now Pirine's on the bench, but Thompson has been the man.
Yeah, the one guy that's got something going, Jared Cook in there in the tight slot.
Richard is the back. He stays in the block. Pass to the end zone too high. And flags down all over the place.
That's a foul.
Seth Roberts, the intended receiver. Fuller and Breland covering.
Little double move, and I think that it was Breland that got uncomfortable and grabbed.
Defense number 26. Ball was placed at the spot of the foul and an automatic first down.
There you go. You're going to get Seth Roberts a little hesitation move, and now watch Breland right here grab the back of that jersey, and you could see it tug. And that was that.
A little face mask by Roberts there. Richard stays in.
Interesting, no Marshawn Lynch here.
Well, first and goal from the 4-yard line. And Carr slings it in the end zone, and boy, that one could have been picked off. It was the Shazer Everett on a pass intended for the tight end Cook. It'll be second down and goal. Looks like Piron's going to go back to the locker room.
And Derek Carr is getting surprised by some snaps in this game. I don't know exactly what's going on. Caught it, got it out. But Everett almost took that one 100. And Derek Carr saying, come on, settle down.
Richard limped off. Now you've got Lynch in. Beast mode flanking Carr on a 2nd and goal. The shoulder shake, and then that pass is broken up in the end zone. Breland that time taking it away from Cordero Patterson. It'll be 3rd and goal.
You got Patterson, who's right there in the slot, and it's interesting to me, just me, Marshawn Lynch, you get it 1st and goal on the 4. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if he's not feeling well. I don't know if they don't think they can block these guys. Derek Carr giving him some directions here.
He's in the slot. Last carry he had, he took that big hit from Swearinger. Now he comes back into the backfield on a 3rd and goal. The play clock at 1. And the pass to nobody, falling down at about the 5-yard line. Donald Penn was close. Donald Penn is the guy who has caught 4 tackle-eligible touchdowns in his career. 4th down and goal, and they got to settle for a field goal.
Yeah, that was a strange series. Every one of the wideouts here just going down and blocking. They're going to try and get it out in the flat, but just too easily picked up that time in coverage, and they had it all the way, and really Derek Carr just had to throw it away. What a great defensive stand by the Redskins.
Giorgio Tavecchio, who hasn't missed a kick this season, stays perfect on a chip shot 22-yard field goal. So they can only mini capitalize on a big break. It's 24-10. Well, you got Todd Downing, the offensive coordinator, and they are 0 for 9 tonight on 3rd down. Team is getting 71 total yards tonight, 2 yards per play.
Well, how about this guy tonight, Al? Chris Thompson out of the backfield as a receiver, as a runner, flipping over, gaining extra yards, making Carl Joseph miss in the open field, and then this, what may end up being the first and then the backbreaker in this game. He has really flashed. A guy at Florida State that seemed to have injuries every single year of his career, 11, 12, 13, all different body parts, vertebrae, knees, shoulder. Yet he hung in there, and now he is turning into something really special for the Redskins.
This drive starts, and they give the ball to Mac Brown, second-year back. He, too, went to Florida. It'll be 2nd down and 9.
There's still plenty of time. You know, that turnover and those 3 points come off pretty big here, because if you can finally force a punt, get it going, you can tell that Kirk Cousins up in the bid again now that it's a 2-score game.
Here's Rob Kelly, their #1 back. P. Ryan, he went to the locker room. So that's why they have Brown in the game right now. And Cousins fires over the middle, finds the open man. Crowder breaks the tackle, takes the ball into Oakland territory. Stopped by T.J. Carey.
Well, you just notch this up to protection. Watch these big guys up front. They don't even get close to Cousins. He was on about his 3rd look there, which gave him time to come all the way back here to Jamison Crowder for yet another big play.
That's for 30 yards. The Redskins tonight, 428 yards. 428, Oakland 71. That's a 6-to-1 ratio. The score should be 50-3. Toss to Thompson. B goes to the outside. Among the things he's done tonight, 150 receiving yards is the most by a running back in an NFL game since 2014, when Le'Veon Bell did it for Pittsburgh.
A lot of fun stuff going here. Jamison Crowder took care of Khalil Mack on the outside, and then watch big Trent Williams come out in front of this play and just bury the corner on that side. There's a corner, there's not much you can do.
Hey, single. 57.
I think what he's saying maybe to Mack is you've got to get up the field and turn your back to that block, not let that little guy get you.
There he goes again, squirting his way over the left side for a first down.
Boy, just the combination blocks. Sean Laval that time helping his center, getting up to that next level, and there just was nobody left there. You're starting to see now the Redskins, every time that they're bringing Carl Joseph down to one side, they're running away from him because really that safety is sort of the unblocked guy and letting their offensive line dominate away from him.
Mack Brown, who would be their number 4 running back. Number 3 tonight because of Kelly's inactivity. But Brown, he's off to the races. He has a first down to the 18-yard line. It's a heck of a committee they got back there.
Well, Vernon Davis coming off of one of his better games blocking a week ago. May have gotten away with a little bit of a hold there, but you know, anytime you get a guy with that sort of speed that can also block like that, very, very, very valuable guy. And 2 plays in a row now, the Raiders have lost the edge and allowed the Redskins to get outside of them without really blazing speed to get there.
57. 180.
From the 18, this is Brown. He'll take the ball to the 11-yard line. No dancing tonight for Marshawn.
No, but Spencer Long's dancing. Watch him. Look how far away this defensive tackle is. That is one of the toughest blocks in football. And when you have a center that can make that block, it's just impressive. That wasn't even really what they call the one technique. He was almost all the way out on Sheriff on that play.
Hey, 55.
Halfway through the 4th quarter. In the middle, Thompson, 3rd and short. So the one technique is a cousin of the 3 technique, correct?
I knew it.
I couldn't let you get
That's
by
the
with
first time I ever said 1 or 3 technique that you didn't hit me in the back of the head. So I appreciate it. At least that, I'm going to count that as a win there.
I'm telling you, though, this is it's such a fascinating, league. You think you know, and then you realize you don't know anything. Nobody knows anything. What are we talking about? I mean, the Jets win today. They look horrendous. Washington is dominating tonight.
I mean, I really came in here thinking that this Raider offensive line was going to have a chance to dominate. We've seen them do it in the past against the Denver Broncos out there. And I knew the Redskins had a good week last week and how athletic this offensive line was. But I think that hog camp paid off for them.
Redskins take a timeout, up by 14 at home. The ball is at the 13 now after the timeout. 3rd down and 4. Thompson is split wide to the right. Cousins cannot get the first down. Kauser makes the tackle, 4th down. And they can bring the field goal group in and turn it into a 3-possession game again.
Yeah, and I think Kirk Cousins knew exactly that. You know, he was going to drop back. If he loves something, throw it, but we are not turning it over. A field goal here makes it very tough on Oakland.
Well, the Redskins haven't had a real good field goal kicker, place kicker, who's played for any length of time since Chip Lohmiller, but maybe Hopkins is the guy. 28-yarder. Tressway to put it down. And just inside the right upright. They tack on 3 more with 6:02 left in the 4th. 27-10. So the Raiders' upcoming schedule, they go to Denver, big one next week, then home for 3 in a row. Baltimore, the Chargers, and Kansas City before they go back out on the road at Buffalo. And then the Sunday night game, week 9, is Oakland at Miami. Then they go to Mexico City for what would be their home game against New England. Meanwhile, Washington plays Kansas City in the Monday nighter next week. Then they have an early bye. San Fran comes in here at Philly. Dallas comes in here. So they go home and road all the way almost to the end of the season. No long stretches of either home or road appearances for the Redskins. So they go to Kansas City, and the Chiefs.
That'll be
3-0. Yeah. Well, Oakland, Denver too. I mean, Denver goes to Buffalo and gets beaten today. Cordero Patterson back to receive the kick.
Yeah, really. But for those 2 turnovers, this one easily is a shutout.
Oh, I mean, you look at
nothing.
You look at the statistics. It's crazy. Little pulse of the game to this point. Cousins, great night, 366, 3 touchdowns. Thompson, tremendous, 150 in receiving yardage, plus 38 on the ground. That defense has been tremendous, limiting Oakland to 71 yards. 0 for 9 on 3rd down. The Raiders have 4 first downs in the game. Skins have 18. DeAndre Washington is the back. Carr, a little flip in the air, and it was almost intercepted. Little volleyball action. Junior Gillette was there, but they couldn't come down with it. 2nd down.
I think it was Preston Smith. Let's see if it's Preston Smith who knocks it up in the air, and eventually it almost came back to him. It was almost tipped back, and then here he comes. He almost had a chance for it on the tail end of it.
That's 36 plays for the Raiders tonight, 71 yards. They're averaging less than 2 yards a play. 2nd and 10. And that's caught on the outside, Patterson. Chris, the Raiders have won 1 statistical battle tonight. And who would figure? Penalties.
Yeah.
The Raiders led the league in penalties and penalty yardage last year. They only have 3 tonight. Washington has 8.
You know, Greg Minuski, I tried to talk to him about the scheme a little bit that he had planned for the Raiders, and he just says nothing to do with scheme. This is just a fight. They're going to try and come in and push us around, intimidate us. And I'll say he was a little more colorful with how he was saying it than what I just described. But you could tell he was almost angry coming into this game, and his defense has played like that.
Carr rolls out. Nothing happening. And I think he wanted a timeout. He was calling for a timeout, and he did not get it.
That's at least the 3rd snap tonight that Derek Carr did not want to see or was unready for.
So that counts. He didn't get the timeout. Can't think of the last time I saw a team go 0 for 10 on 3rd down. And they're going to stay in there on 4th and 3. Brings Washington into the backfield.
Knows he's going to have a zone, probably a throw to Jared Cook at this point.
Well, he's going to run it. Whatever it takes, he gets the 1st down up at the 40-yard line.
You know, people always wonder why they do that. Why do they send backs out and backs in? Because if the back goes out and a linebacker goes out to cover him, they know they have man coverage and they run this play. They come back in and people just basically don't move. They know they have zone. So Kirk Cousins, he's figured that all out pretty good tonight,
I think. Carr, a little dump over the middle to Washington. Gain of 3. Spate makes the tackle. We go to Michelle.
Well, Michael Crabtree went back for x-rays on his chest. He is questionable with a chest injury, and after the x-rays he went to the locker room, but that's 1 less weapon for Derek Carr, Al.
Oh yeah, and tonight he had 1 catch for 7 yards. Cooper has 1 for 6. Cook's the only guy who hasn't done anything with 3 catches, and that pass with a flag thrown intended for Roberts. And incomplete.
don't know if body slamming is illegal or not, but
we'll find out.
Donald Penn basically just hooked and threw to the ground Kerrigan.
Holding offense number 73. 10-yard penalty, second down.
That's not a penalty. That's good to know.
Well, he called it on Newhouse.
Newhouse on the other side, working against Gillette. Yeah, there's a hold for sure on that side. So Penn was clean. Newhouse, not so much.
Might have been a penalty in WWE, but NFL, no problem.
Off the top rope.
2nd and 17 from the 31. Clive Wolford, the number 3 tight end, makes the catch.
Can I tell you what's been even more impressive about this for me?
Right now.
Sometimes you come out there and you hit them with blitzes and stuff that surprises you and all that kind of stuff. Greg Minuski didn't do that at all here tonight. He just said, guys, we're going to line up across from these guys and we're going to punch them in the mouth and we're going to play a zone defense. And when they catch the ball, we're going to come up and try and wipe them out. And he's had them all riled up, and it has gone that way all night. In reality, they should be pitching a shutout.
3rd and 18. Carr deep downfield and incomplete, intended for Cooper, covered by Nicholson. You're right, they should be pitching a shutout. And anybody who would just look at the statistics and not see the score, as I said before, would be like 50-3.
You know, I really like that play by the young rookie, Monte Nicholson. He starts out with an interception to start the game. And so many times you see against a wideout that a safety will panic. They'll just panic and they'll grab you and there'll be a penalty. And watch him just sort of comfortably, a little hand fighting, all legal. He looks very, very much in control of his game. Good effort out of him tonight.
Well, 4th and 18. They're 0 for 11 on 3rd down, but they're 1 for 1 on 4th down. Oh, now you got a penalty here coming up on Penn.
And I think Donald Penn.
Offense, number 72. 5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
And you could see Donald Penn pointing at the play clock. He knew that thing was about to expire. And he's going, guys, if we didn't snap it then, it wouldn't have mattered anyway because you're going to be delay a game.
So now a 4th and 23.
This is when Sam White used to tell us, anybody got any ideas? You guys make the call.
What would you tell them?
Throw it to me.
Yeah. Carr. Out of the pocket, hits Roberts, then he fumbles. Not going to matter anyway because it was 4th down and a mile, so they were going to turn it over on downs. It'll go into the books as a forced fumble by Fuller.
Number 50.
And Spate with a recovery.
Catch, turn, tuck it away. Yep. What a night. Across the board. It cannot be more impressive than what Josh Norman and this defense has been tonight. You almost wish that the score reflected how stunning and overwhelming Jay Gruden's squad has been here tonight. Nearly a perfect game.
And like right on cue, that smile tells you it was a perfect game. Mac Brown is in the backfield along with the fullback. Mac Brown close to a 1st down, tackled by Joseph. We go to Michelle.
You know, Ryan Kerrigan told me they knew they had a test this week with the Raiders. He said Oakland's offensive line is as good as it gets. We got to wear our big boy pads. They just line up and say our good is better than your good, so it's going to be a battle of wills. And that battle obviously has been won by Kerrigan and the Redskins defense, Al.
You know, Michelle, and it's not that often that as you look at Mike Tyson, the line, that Washington's a home underdog, but they were tonight by about 3. I think they've covered.
Hey, Dallas,
2nd and 1.
Dallas.
Get to talk to our friends, you know. this. All whack jobs. It's going to take us to the 2-minute warning as the Washington Redskins are on their way to win number 2 in a row after an opening loss to Philadelphia. And the Oakland Raiders will drop to 2-1. So they still haven't gone 3-0 since way back in 2002. And well before that, the other time. 2-minute warning. There are the standings. Kansas City unbeaten right now. They'll face Washington next week. Raiders will go to 2-1. Denver 2-1, and the Chargers in their LA digs 0-3. Philadelphia, big win today over the Giants, who dropped to 0-3 in the East. Washington goes to 2-1. 3rd down and 2. And the flag is down. Had more than a few of them tonight.
All right, let me hit you with one.
Go for the goal.
Distraction today with all that stuff with the sideline. I remember around the league.
Right.
This game, no. Maybe the Raiders were distracted, but the Redskins are going to win this one. They dominated. Do you think it was?
Look, I think there's always a distraction when you have a situation like we had over the weekend, obviously. And people say, well, it didn't matter to the teams that won.
Illegal formation offense. Number 84 was covering number 85. As penalties decline, 4th down.
And you know better than anybody, Chris, coaches are always saying you got to focus. Well, every team had a split focus this weekend. There's no question about it. Did it hurt the Raiders? Look, Michelle talked about it at the top of the game. How much time did they spend thinking about what they're going to do?
Yeah.
So, I mean, instead of thinking about the game, they're thinking about what, and they wanted to stay in the locker room, but because the format's different in a primetime game, they didn't. I don't know, you tell me.
It all happened late in the week.
And around the corner goes Mac Brown. Trying to stay in bounds, but finally forced out at the end. Pick up the 1st down.
Well, we talk a lot about offense, and certainly this was a tremendous performance by the Redskins offense. But 95 yards allowed against this Raiders offense is absolutely stunning to me. Stunning. If you watch the game or the game tape or anything you want to talk about last week, and you say, well, it was the Jets, and yeah, but Greg Minuski had this bunch so ready to play. I mean, he was almost yelling at me when I got on the phone right off the bat. I said something about, boy, the Raiders look tough. You guys are going to be good. He goes, what do you mean by that? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, he was to the point where he just did not want to hear about Raiders being tough and his guys being anything but. And they made a point out here tonight.
Well, it was going to be a 1st down, but there was a penalty on the play. So a punt here. Raiders punt. Fair caught 6-yard line. TJ Carey. So the Raiders with plenty of stars on offense, but you'd never know from this game. Carr, bad night. Lynch, next to nothing. Cooper, 1 catch. Crabtree, 1 catch. Jared Cook, I mean, he had a night of nights with these guys. 3 catches, 37 yards. Well, Marshawn Lynch got the crowd going in Oakland last week, dancing to a song called Oakland. I think everybody saw that clip on one of the shows during the week. If he sticks around 3 more years, he can dance to Viva Las Vegas, I guess, but it's down the line. Guard dumps it to Washington. One thing about the Raiders, they're in Oakland obviously this year. They'll be there next year. The new stadium will be ready in Las Vegas in 2020. 19 is up in the air as to whether they stay in Oakland or go playing somewhere in Vegas.
Boy, the renditions of that stadium pretty amazing. LA too.
that's what it's become in the NFL and has for years. You build a stadium, they'll come. I mean, every time a team moves, it's because some other municipality. If you look at Mark Davis, Al's son, owner of the team, and it's all about you build the facility, away you go. And that was the case in Oakland, and Vegas said, hey, we'll build it for you. Go into all the
pretty big leap of faith by
money, whatever.
Yeah, and by the league as well. For a long time, you thought that was never going to happen, and times change.
Times they do a change. Yes, my son. 2nd and 3. And Washington gets blasted, so Zach Brown.
Maybe that's the way this game's supposed to end.
Yeah.
He has been bringing the wood tonight, hasn't he? I like him as a player. I think as he begins to figure out this defense more and more, he's going to be a huge factor.
Well, that was symbolic. And this will just pad the stat sheet as Roberts picks up about 8. And the Washington Redskins, in a dominant performance, took advantage of 2 early turnovers. Raiders now go to the airport and take a long red-eye home. And go to work to meet Denver next week. 27-10, our final score.